Well, it's the evening before my big drive down south. So we're going to load up the car, but before we do so, we're going to do a few things which you can only do on a Tesla. So we're going to go on to schedule. We're going to set the departure, and we're going to set it to 5:15 in the morning. And we're going to set the climate control, and we are going to preheat the battery. And we're not going to do scheduled charging, but what we will do is set the charge limit to 100%. So that's everything set as far as my car is concerned for tomorrow morning. So let's just go and load things up. This doesn't fit. I have to lower the seats. But the forecast for later on in the week is for cold weather to come along, according to the windy.com channel. And even though I've got winter tyres, it's always good to have one of these. Well, it fits perfectly well sideways in my cabin. Right, so the forecast for tomorrow is cold weather. It's going to be freezing here. I think it's going to be milder further south, but there's not going to be much wind, which is going to work in our favour. But what I want to do and say here is that having a battery warmed up and having a cabin warmed up before you head off is very important towards maximising range on the road. Good morning. The temperature is now -5 degrees outside, and as you can see, the car is well on the way to being defrosted now. I'm actually, it's 8 minutes past 5, so I'm not yet at my scheduled departure time. So I've loaded up. All I have to do is unplug and be on my way. Right, so that is us ready to go. So we'll have a look at the route, see where we're going to be charging up. So just having a think about what superchargers to go to. All right, let's be on our way. So the cabin temperature is nice and warm, 18 degrees. My seat was nice and warm. My steering wheel is nice and warm. So what I'm going to do is just gradually reduce the temperature of the cabin, and the reason for doing so is just to maximize my range. The supercharger being recommended is Dundee, so I suspect we're going to be staying there for just a short length of time. We can't reach Abington, so that's one of the first differences between October and now. But as you can see, we've got good roads. It's nice and dry outside. No rain, no adverse winds or rain. Let's have a look, see what the tyre pressures are like. Tyre pressures are 42 psi, perfect, just as the way I want them. They are sensitive to temperature, so when I was driving in 10 degrees Celsius weather just 3 days ago, the tyre pressures were 44 psi. So, you know, those are the gas equations. That's what we expect gases to do. So, yeah. In the winter time, always pump up your pressures when it's cold and frosty outside. Okay, so here we are entering the Aberdeen bypass. So, what I can tell you so far is that the energy consumption is much higher now. It's 445 watt hours per mile. The estimated battery into Dundee Supercharger, which is what it's recommending, is 47%, 46%, something like that. And we've got 86% charge now. So we've used quite a lot of battery just getting to the to the bypass. So we're going to see how this high-speed cruise works at this temperature. Temperature outside is -1 degrees. I've tried to use minimum heating, and I'm just finding I still need to keep the windscreen clear. So I'll talk to you in Dundee. Okay, so I am coming up to the Dundee Supercharger, and I was wanting to mute the navigation guidance, and instead I cancelled the navigation, and then when I reinitiated the navigation it was suggesting I be routed via Edinburgh to their supercharger down there. But I'm going to go to the Dundee Supercharger. It suggested that we had a 49% battery charge predicted when we were at my house. We've now got 51% charge, and we're just on the last roundabout out of Dundee here. So we turn right and we go into a hotel car park. So the hotel is just here, so we will see what this looks like. Yeah, the energy consumption coming down here was very hard all the way down. It was about 380 watt hours per mile. One of the things I noticed was that the status of the car was trying to condition the battery for supercharging all the way from my house, which I thought was a bit odd, and I think that's one of these little bugs. So here we are. A couple of things I want to try and review. So let's go and take a look. Lots of muck on the rear view camera. Right, let's go. So here we are. Get the CCS charger. And now it's charging. Excellent. So we literally stayed there for about 5 minutes. It's suggesting we will have 18% charge left at Abington, and I will see whether that remains the case in due course. It's proposing that we charge up at Abington, and then it's proposing we'll have enough charge to get down to Kiel, and then from Kiel down to Warwick. So let's see how this all pans out. It's a foggy day. I find the autopilot is working just fine in the fog. So here we are on the main road to Dundee. One of the other things I find they've improved with the autopilot is that when you change lanes, it used to bail out of autopilot before, and with that you had to hover, you had to be prepared to have your foot on the accelerator because it would also regen. Now, instead of going straight into manual mode, it will just simply go into traffic aware cruise control mode, which is a much better reversionary mode when you change lanes. If you do bail out of autopilot manually, it will go straight into manual driving mode. So we are now approaching the M8. and then we will soon be on the M74 through the central belt. As you can see, we've got light fog here. It's not the worst fog I've ever seen. We can still drive at 70 miles an hour. So that's us through the more complicated section of motorway and busier section of motorway. Now it's just the M74 and a 2-lane highway down to Abington services. We're 24 miles away from that. So here we are, turning off for Abington services. We've been here before. We have got 13% battery. At Dundee Supercharger, it was predicting 18% battery to get down here. So I was right, I was losing about 5 or 6%. What I found was that it rapidly reassessed the estimated charge maybe about 20 miles into the journey once I got to Perth. And that journey has corresponded to about 333 watt hours per mile. So here we are, time to get charged up. And there we go, charging up. So at Abington services, we also have these Ecotricity chargers which you can use. These are 50 kilowatt chargers. I think there are 4 chargers. However, I think 2 of them are just ChargeMo adapters. Here's a nice. Here's a neat trick for Abington. In Abington village themselves, there is also a Charge Place Scotland 50 kilowatt charger there. So at the moment, it's free. I'm sure that will change very soon. But if you find the Tesla superchargers to be full up, and they often are in Abington, go to Abington village and you might find that that charger is free and it can offer 50 kilowatts. But even if there is a space at the Tesla supercharger, these are shared superchargers. Let me show you. So these stalls are numbered A and B. And the reason they're numbered A and B is because they share the same power supply. So if one person parks up at the A charger, then the charging speed will be 120 kilowatts in this instance. But if someone then rocks up on the B charger next to you whilst the A charger is in use, then the charging speed will be reduced down to 60 kilowatts. So you will find that the advantage with going to a Tesla supercharger in busy periods is much reduced. So then the Charge Place Scotland charger might well be a better option. So I thought I'd talk about my Norwegian jumper. I'm sure many people have remarked upon it already whilst watching this video. I bought this jumper in 2007. I was in a town in Norway called Kongsberg, and I was quite keen to get myself one of these jumpers. It's a pure wool jumper. At the time, it cost about 110 quid. It's made by a company called Selbu in Trondelag. So one of the misconceptions is that this is a Christmas jumper, and actually it's not. definitely a winter jumper. I mean, it's got plenty of snowflake knittings in it and so on, but it is not a Christmas jumper. That said, historically at work, I have brought it to the works Christmas party, and it does end up being quite popular. But there's no reason why I can't wear this jumper at any other day of the winter. It's very nice. It's fine. Hand wash only. So yes, my Norwegian jumper. So this door pocket here I find very small. I've got a 1 litre water bottle which I use for hiking, and in my old Volkswagen Golf I could stick the water bottle just there and it would fit perfectly. Thing to note here is that there's quite a lot of space here, and I just think to myself they could probably extend the size of this door pocket just a little bit more, and they can afford to, and then I could get a bigger water bottle in here, because one thing's for sure, you certainly won't be able to get a 1 litre water bottle in there, and what happens is that the water bottle just ends up in a footwell, and it just rattles about. One other thing to note, we have a memory stick, and that memory stick is 128 gigabytes, and that is used for storing all of the dashcam footage. Now I thought to myself I could copy and paste all of my music onto that memory stick. Unfortunately, if we go to music and we go to the options down here, you can see that USB is not an option. So in order to get USB sticks to work, you have to use the USB-C ports in here to play the music. They don't seem to work with the USB-A socket in the glove box. So some things about the phone. So if you select phone here, so if I go to playlist, it only plays music that's been selected on the phone first. It can't browse the rest of your music catalogue on your phone, which I find a bit annoying. So I'd need to go onto my phone, which means I have to stop the car, and that's not desirable at all. Okay, we have charged up the battery to 92%. So it was a nice quiet charging session today. There was only one other Tesla, and just as I pulled out, another Tesla arrived. Okay, so it's predicting, I cancelled the navigation option and I recalculated the route. It was suggesting to me that I should go to Kiel services, but in order to do that I had to charge all the way up to 100%. So 20 minutes of the charging was just getting from 90% to 100%. And I thought that's a waste of time. So I asked it to recalculate a route, and it is now suggesting Warrington, and it's suggesting 11% charge remaining when we get to Warrington. So we'll see about that. We do have the option of going to T-Bay. I prefer to avoid going to T-Bay simply because I do know it can get very busy there. So the navigation has decided to reroute us to Penrith Supercharger. Obviously it decided that we didn't have enough charge to get to Warrington. Now, at the time when it decided to reroute us, it was predicting we'd have 56% charge by the time we got to Penrith. We're now on 49% charge, and it's now predicting 47% charge when we get there, or maybe it'll be 48%. So if we have a look at the charger, we can see that there are 6 stalls available, so that's good. It's very nice, pretty viewed going down to T-Bay, very pretty. don't particularly like driving south in the winter time. You've got the sun in your face all the way, and on a clear day like today, it's quite glaring. So the plan after T-Bay will be Warwick services. So we will see how that gets on. So it's completely covered up the rear view camera, so we'll just there we go. Right, let's get charged up. Okay, charged up. So this is where the rear view camera is, and as you can see, it gets very dirty indeed. Now, I always compare this with my Volkswagen Golf because that's the car I had previously. The camera in the Volkswagen Golf was actually hidden away behind a flap, and the flap opened up and out popped the camera. So the camera never ever got dirty. I think Tesla needs to revise this because it always gets dirty. By the time I get to the next Supercharger, no doubt this will get dirty again. So you can see the plan is to try and take me to Warwick. We've got 86% charge, and it's reckoning we'll get 2% remaining at this current state of charge. I don't think we're going to make Warwick, but we will certainly make Hilton Park services. So what I will do is I'll continue charging until about 90%, and then I will disconnect and just be on my way. Now, what else is there to show you? If we go to service and we go to wheel configuration, you can choose different wheels. You can choose the 18-inch wheels, you can choose 19, 20-inch wheels and so on. But the thing you can't choose is winter tyres on the wheels. And as we've seen, the charge estimates have always been far too optimistic with the winter tyres on. I'm pretty sure if I had my summer tyres on, I'd be very close to the range estimates for these kind of long distance journeys. So what you can see here is dirt which kind of gets into the gaps between the door and the body, and it shows you that if you look at the seal, that's where the seal is, and on my old car the seal was much closer to the outside. You can get aftermarket seals which come in here, and that is that is something I'm considering doing. Apparently they do reduce road noise, so it's worth being mindful about. Right, time to head off. Right, back on the road again, and one of the things I will say is that whilst it is seemingly much quieter today in terms of Supercharger busyness, outside of a pandemic, these Superchargers are going to get much busier. So between Hamilton in the central belt of Scotland and Preston in Lancashire, we have a total of 16 Superchargers available southbound. And northbound, we've only got 10 Superchargers available. And with more and more electric cars coming onto the road, we're really going to need to get an awful lot more. When I last arrived at Abington services northbound, I got the last Supercharger available, and I only stayed there for about 10 minutes, and in 10 minutes there were about 3 cars waiting behind me. Now, since I was travelling northbound, I didn't need that much of a charge, so I could head on to Dundee. And Dundee was much quieter. That's what I would consider to be a supercharger at the periphery of the network, whereas Abington, I'd say, is a core route. The whole of the M6 is a core route. Now, there aren't too many superchargers between Penrith and Keele. There's Warrington, but you have to leave the M6 to get to that one. And it would be handy to have Charnock Richard southbound available as a supercharger as well. So we are now on the M6 in Birmingham, and it's advising us to take the M5 and the M42 round Birmingham. That was also backed up with one of the messages on the message board. It was about 2 minutes quicker. So we will continue this way around. One of the things I've noticed about the speed limits, it reads signs on the side of the road, but it does not read signs up on gantries. So at the moment it's saying 70 mile an hour speed limit there, but your speed limit gantries are saying 60 mile an hour. If you go into roadworks, it recognises the first roadwork speed limit sign, sorry. But when it comes to roadwork ends, you don't get your speed limit sign telling you what your normal speed limit is, if it's a national speed limit. So we're predicted to get to Warwick with 17% charge, and we are currently on profile for getting that. So it did originally reroute me to Hilton Park, but I was noticing my efficiency is a lot better now. So my energy consumption is now down to 260 watt hours per mile. It's milder, it's 8 degrees, that helps, and also the roads are drier. And the other thing I think which is helping is the fact that the traffic is heavier, which basically means you've got more of a slipstream effect with the air, and I think that makes a massive difference to the efficiency. If you're on a quiet road, I'm pretty sure the efficiency would be worse than it would be on a busy road like this. So we're now on the M40 and we're coming up to Warwick services, and I checked the status of the superchargers there. There's 3 spare superchargers, but these are version 2 superchargers, and as explained before, because there's only 3 spare superchargers, that means that the 150 kilowatts that is available will be chopped in half to 75 kilowatts. So what I'm going to do instead is go to the Banbury supercharger. It's not much further along, but these are version 3 superchargers, and those are 250 kilowatt chargers. So I think that's going to be a very interesting experiment. I think it's always good to just go off the services a little bit. You often find that there are often better options. I'm hoping that the range of facilities available at Banbury is also good, but it's just one of those things. It's predicting 11% charge at Banbury when I get there. So let's see how that gets. Let's see how we get on there. Okay, so we are now coming up to the Banbury junction. So there is 8 spare superchargers. I consider that to be an abundance. These are version 3 superchargers, and apparently the power supplies are not shared between charging stands, which is good. Right, so we'll take the right hand lane here. Okay, so we're very close. We should just turn left here. Quite a busy retail park, I have to say. There we go. Right, let's get this thing charged up. So this is a 250 kilowatt charger, and as you can see, the charging rate is 178 kilowatts. So I'm just going to sort myself out and see you later. Well, when I got here, I found there are only 4 spare chargers left. If I look at this, it's telling me, yes, there are 4 spare chargers left. So it's basically everybody arrived all at the same time. So it's reckoning 13 minutes to charge up here before continuing on my journey. I think going to Banbury, you know, it's a bit longer drive from the M40, and you do have local traffic to deal with, as we've seen. But overall, if the charging time is quicker, it's worth it. And there are, you know, there are facilities around here. I mean, I just went straight into the Pizza Hut place. There's also a KFC if that's what suits your fancy, and you've got plenty of shops around if that's what you fancy. So there's other options. You're not just you don't just have to stick to the service stations. Likewise with Keel services on the M6, if you go just a little bit further along, you can get to some superchargers at Stoke-on-Trent, which are much faster at 250 kilowatts. Another thing I've heard is that there is a new supercharger which is going through the approvals process. It's going to be constructed at Stafford North Services, so that'll be quite useful as well. Worth bearing in mind. Right, off we go. I think getting out of this retail park's going to be a bit tricky. It just looks very congested, but we'll see. So that was a little bit slow getting out. I would say it's still faster to do this than it is to go to Warwick Services Supercharger. I think I'd use that again. I'd prefer not to use it on a Saturday afternoon. It is, after all, a retail park, and those places do, after all, get busy at that time of the day. But any other day of the week, I think it would be no problem at all to use that supercharger. If you're low on charge, I think you'll appreciate the 250 kilowatt charge, and it's accessible both north and southbound. So we are approaching the M25. This is everybody's favourite car park. One thing to note is that the cruise control will automatically reduce the speed when you go onto these motorway junctions. So it automatically reduced down to 55 mile an hour, just like that. And it will automatically speed up as well, but not until it gets onto the main motorway. Oh no, it speeds up here, that's great. But one thing it doesn't do is that it doesn't take variable speed limits into account, so I had to intervene there. So just junction 10 to get to now, and then it's the A3, and then it's Guildford. Well, here we are in Guildford, and it is just not so many miles left to do now, but still a fair bit of time left to do those miles in. So we've got, what, 14 miles left. So the journey from now is going to be fairly slow. We're not going into Tesco's, we're not going to do any pod point charging, so we will just go straight back home. Idiot! And here we are. So that was a journey which started at 5:15 in the morning, and it's now 5 to 5 in the evening. So it is 11 hours 40 minutes. So if we have a look at the statistics, what we see, we did 585 miles and we did 174 kilowatt hours. So we did it, 75 kilowatt hours of that was from my own house, and the remaining 100 was from the Supercharger. So let's go outside and get this thing plugged in. So in October, the journey I took, I departed at 5:45 a.m. and I arrived here at 4:30 p.m. So that was 10 hours and 45 minutes of driving. And I had traffic jams to deal with, so without the traffic jams it would have been 10 hours and 20 minutes of driving. Only 20 minutes longer than what it would have taken with a diesel car under nominal traffic conditions. Today I started at 5:15, I got here at 4:55, so it was 11 hours and 40 minutes worth of driving. What it goes to show is that winter driving on winter tyres increases your energy consumption. And that increase in energy consumption means that you've got an increase in time spent charging up your battery all over again. This isn't something you have to do when it comes to filling up with petrol or diesel cars. So you have to think quite carefully about whether the benefits of having winter tyres on your car are worthwhile. I think the winter tyres here were quite significant in terms of reducing the overall energy efficiency. It was quite mild here when I arrived. It was about it was between 9 to 11 degrees in the southeast of England, and that contrasts with -5 degrees when I took off when I started in Aberdeenshire. And for me, the case in favour of winter tyres is actually, now that I think of it, quite a marginal case. If you have to be somewhere every single day, regardless of conditions, then winter tyres are a good investment, especially if those requirements relate to local driving as opposed to driving from one end of the country to the other. I don't think anyone in England outside of the Yorkshire Dales has got any particular reason to have winter tyres on their car for regular commutes or regular journeys. And with more people working from home these days, there are fewer reasons why you can't defer your journey to a different time, such as from the early morning at 7 o'clock to later in the afternoon, in order to complete your journeys without winter tyres. So they don't just cost money to buy, they cost money to run as well. Anyway, that's it for this video. So whilst I'm down here, I'm going to be putting another video together, and stay tuned for that. So in the meantime, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I will talk to you again very soon.